Hi, Daniel. Nice to see you. Let's start there then. Daniel, what happened in your opinion at the end of the game, and have you heard from the FA since?
Actually, I was concentrated on speaking about the Sunderland game, but I also understand the question and I want not to quit. Told you several times. So as a player, my problem was I was one of the slowest strikers in Europe. It's actually the first time that I'm accused to run too quick on the pitch. Perhaps I should take it as a compliment. Yes, obviously I was shown a red card from Peter Banks from the referee. No, all jokes aside, one of my principles in working in football is always like to respect each other, each and every person, and of course there are sometimes emotions in the game and also disagreement perhaps about a few situations or whatever. But one of my principles is always like to show class and to calm the emotions down, to control the emotions. This is how I worked during my whole life. I'm since nearly 2 decades working in the job as a manager. I never received a red card. Not during my whole life. For that, I can't tell you about any processes, what happens right now. I've never received a red card. During all these 2 decades, I've exactly missed one game where I was not allowed to attend. It was, by the way, last season when our bench was celebrating a late equalizer in the game in the 96th minute. And with the celebration, everyone was running on the pitch. And then the referee came over and said, listen, I can't really tell who was the first one. You have to take one for the team. Daniel, sorry, I have to give you a card. And this was the reason I was not allowed to attend at the Sheffield Wednesday game. So for that, I can't tell you what happens right now after a red card. Also the reason, perhaps Peter wanted to be the first one who gives me a red card. In my career, I think he could have even given me a yellow card, would be also a premiere, because I think I've also never received a yellow card on Premier League level. No, all jokes aside, I'm a very self-critical person. When I do a mistake, I always hold my hand up and say, listen, I have to apologize, because in my job I also have to be a role model. But really in this case, in this scenario, I think it shouldn't be a red card. It's really my honest believing. In general, look, there will always be disagreements about situations in the game. During the game there were several decisions. We can speak about a possible foul in the build-up before their goal on Brennan Aronson. We can speak about the situation about when a foul was given against JJ. Although there was a straight leg against him, he need to be stitched after the game. And is, by the way, a doubt for tomorrow. Because it was actually a foul on him. I think there was an incident with Cherky and Gruev. I judged it different. I think there was a handball incident in the second half where I think it should be at least checked and to have a look at. I think 6 minutes at a time for this game was not enough, but the referee judged in a different way, and I also have to live with it. And it's also not a problem at all. But I think what should not happen on this level is more or less what happened then in added time. It was 6 minutes added time shown by the fourth official. By Oliver Langford, and this means then, okay, you play at least 6 minutes at a time. And during this at a time, there was 3 times the occasion that the referee had to encourage a Man City player to be quicker, 2 times with a goal kick and 1 time also with a throw-in. And then comes the incident where he even gives a yellow card for time wasting. I think it was against Aït-Nouri, if I'm not completely wrong. And I went to Oliver Langford, by the way, top guy, and also in this game he was excellent. I said, Oliver, listen, don't let him show him a yellow card because it's our time. We want to equalize. And no, Daniel, don't worry. He goes over and he deals with it, and we will add this to this time. No problem at all. Say, listen, you have encouraged him 3 times already to play quicker. He right now walks over to give some yellow card for time wasting. This alone lasts 20 or 30 seconds. How long do we want to play in the end? 12 minutes? Well, don't worry, Peter will deal with it. It's not your problem. So it's a power play in the last minutes. Yeah, also like we put one long ball after another in, had all our tall guys up front. Man City, with all respect, but they were hanging a bit in the ropes. I can't tell you if you play 1 or 2 minutes longer, if you would really have equalized anyhow. But you never know. There's at least a chance anyhow. And then I can't understand if this happens. Listen, if it happens in the 46 minutes, perhaps you can forget about something. But not if you give 90 seconds before a yellow card for time wasting. You speak to them several times. The fourth official tells me, listen, don't worry, we will add this anyhow. And then after 6 minutes and 9 seconds, we have the ball, want to bring a long ball in. He blows the whistle and ends the game. I think on this level, this is, for me, really a clear mistake, and this shouldn't happen on this level. Anyway, final whistle. My first way is always like win, lose or draw. I go to the opponent's manager, exactly like this. In this game, I went over to Pep, said congratulations, you won the game. Well done. This is what I will always do out of respect. And then, like always, I go over to the referee in order to shake hands, because after the game, I think it's quite normal that everyone comes together, is shaking hands, shows the respect, says well done. Like always with the referee, though there are always 24 players or whoever was involved, the managers, goalkeeper, coach, sometimes on the pitch, shaking hands. There's a bit to talk about, sometimes a question, whatever. Everything's quite normal. I was obviously not happy with this, not with the decisions, but more or less, especially with the 6 minutes at a time. And I think I just wanted to run over because I want to be the first and not like anyone else comes and speaks about the handball or about the Grew of Cherky situation. I just wanted a short, quiet moment with the referee and to ask him the only thing I wanted to ask. So I was running over because I wanted to ask him why he didn't add a few seconds, at least 30 seconds or 1 minute and at a time if he gives a yellow card for time wasting. And I jogged over and there was not one bad word. I didn't abuse him at all. I didn't swear at him at all. I didn't use one word bad language. There was no flying arms or wild gesture. I was just jogging over and wanted to ask him, for what do you give the yellow card over there if you don't add any seconds? And I don't even finish for what, because as soon as I arrived, he had the red card in a sense. And sorry, didn't speak to me, didn't even watch at me, and just shows me a red card. I can't really say that I was really unbelievably happy that he didn't add any seconds. But I just want to ask this question more or less like, and obviously after he showed then the red card also in this manner, more like to embarrass me to show a red card, to show the whole world, listen, this guy is not worth to talk to. This guy is not even worth to look at him anyhow. Then I was angry anyhow, so I have to say. But even then, I didn't use one bad word. I didn't accuse him. Not at all. You can also see it on the footage. His assistant, if I would have done something, anyhow, that is disrespectful, I think then the assistant would have also defended, perhaps has made the referee anyhow. They were even there with sympathy and they were also shocked that red card was shown and tried to speak to me more or less like. I think this is not how we should work with each other. And listen, I have no problems at all. I have so much respect for all the referees. Otherwise, I would never be last in this business for nearly 20 years without showing a red card anyhow. And again, I learned my lesson. I will never ever jog again on the pitch, although I don't think you could be shown a red card for jogging anyhow. So if a referee wants to jog in, if my players want to jog around the final lap, or if I want to jog over the pitch, yeah, whatever. So I don't think it's something where you should be shown a red card. But I have to admit, I'm not light like a butterfly. I don't look unbelievably cute and sweet when I jog. Yeah, I have to admit this. So for that, the lesson that I learned, I will never ever jog on the pitch again. But I don't think a red card should be shown. Listen, with Peter, I respect him so much. He's a top experienced referee. He was in charge in so many top games on this level. I don't think he did something on purpose. I think just he misjudged or misinterpreted something anyhow. But in the end, I think I don't take me too serious. So I'm not more important than the players or the game anyhow. But I think it should be also the same on the other way around. That if we we meet each other all for a few weeks anyhow. And if there is something where we disagree and have a different opinion, I think should be possible to ask at least a question or to speak about this, or at least to have although we disagree, to have a little shake hand or whatever. And again, I will never ever jog again, so I will try to be as slow as I was as a player from now on the pitch, and don't jog anymore. So I get this, but on the other hand, I don't think this should be shown as a red card, because I think it should also not be like, the manager who comes, it's more like you show the world your authority, and you don't talk to him, and you don't even look at him, and just because he arrives, before he says one word, you have the red card in your hand. So again, I think he just misinterpreted also something like this, but for me, it should never be a red card, and what happens right now, can't tell you anyhow. I've never seen a red card.
So do you actually know what you've been accused of? Because it sounds like...
Yeah, there was this Premier League statement, I think they said, for entering the pitch. So since 20 years after the final whistle, I go on the pitch and shake hands with the referee, and this is what my colleagues are doing. This is what everyone else is doing. I know there is this rule more or less like that you shouldn't speak to the referee properly for 30 minutes or whatever, to protect everything with emotions, to be honest, but everyone goes over and sometimes has a question or just shakes hands or there's a little comment. I think it's common sense and normal, and to be honest, it's nice that I'm allowed after 30 minutes perhaps to speak with the referee. The problem is after 5 minutes I have to speak. I'm not protected anyhow. I have to speak to an emotional group of my players, and also need to give them some answers anyhow. And then if I'm not at 10 minutes at the broadcasters and got all these critical questions quite often anyhow, no one protects me, I will be fined anyhow if I'm not attend there after 10 minutes. And after I've done my job with the broadcasters and press conference and the journalists, whatever, and I return back to my office after 1 hour, sometimes even 1.5 hours, the referee's already gone in the taxi. I also have no chance to speak with him. So after the game, I think it's quite normal that you go over, that you shake hands, that you share a few moments. And if he would have said, listen, Danny, I'll explain you later, no problem anyhow, I don't want to talk with you, I also respect this. But so since 20 years, for me, it's normal also to shake hands with the referee, and also perhaps to be able to ask a question. I've never experienced when I arrive at the referee that he's already there with a red card in his hand, just because... to be honest, I don't jog because I'm older, meanwhile. I don't jog that often on the pitch. I have to admit this. And again, this is a lesson I learned. I will never do this. But I think it was probably because, I tried to speak with him, or I were jogging on the pitch or whatever. So, but I think there's no rule that you should be rewarded with a red card just because you're jogging.
So are you expecting at all to be in the dugout against Sunderland?
If you ask me how I judge the situation, I don't think that this red card can stand, because sometimes I'm there with a mistake, then I have to apologize, and if I would use bad language, I deserve more or less like to get a red card and to be not in the dugout. I have to hold my hands up, because in my position you have to be a role model, and also like for the young people or whatever. But if I think there is a clear and obvious mistake, and I would say that then a red card is ruled out. So for me, it's never a red card, but it's not up to me to decide this. I just can give you my view on it, and if it's after the rules and if it's fair, I would expect that we speak about this. And again, there is no bad feelings from my side. Again, Peter is a top referee and top in charge. I think it's quite normal that sometimes you misjudge a situation, but then should be there fair with a fair outcome, and I don't think a red card is a fair outcome.
Daniel, I will ask you about the Sunderland game. We've had a lot of traffic. We've had a lot of emails and messages about the incident just at the beginning of the game, where there was a break for those observing Ramadan. What was your reaction to maybe what you heard at the time from the crowd?
To be honest, if it was really disrespectful in this terms because of the break, then you have to say, we all have to learn out of this. But it was during the game, I'm also honest, was not my feeling, because I think it was just a big surprise for everyone that there was this little break. I'm not sure if everyone was really aware when on this game day the sun went down. We had the first game against Man City, and we had this topic that Pep got all the players together and spoke to them. And we had such a good start into the game. We were the first 10 minutes battling them all over them. I think our supporters in the stand just had the feeling, well, they're doing the same like in the first game. And because of this, they were booing. So I don't think it had anything to do with a break for Ramadan. I think no one was really aware. I think someone told me then it was like on the screen, but I'm not sure if in this moment everyone watches on the screen. And if it was from some people's point of view really out of being disrespectful, then it's not acceptable, and you have to learn out of this. There's no doubt about this. But I think in general, football and we as a club and also a dressing room, there is no better place for living together with different passports, different religions, and then the football club or with our group. And we have all the players also like in our group, and I know that there's a big solidarity and everyone supports the same group and the same club. I think if some people did this out of being disrespectful, then it's not acceptable. They have to learn out of this. But my gut feeling was the supporters didn't even know what was happening before, because I don't think everyone was really aware when the sun went down and when there was this little break. This is my initial feeling, but if it was really disrespectful, then it's of course not acceptable.
Thank you for answering that. Sunderland, as you come into the game, the performance of what you've seen at the weekend, is there no sort of downside, despite the defeat, obviously, but is there no downside? Are you still feeling just as confident as you were before the Manchester City game coming into this one now?
Yes, you could say even more confident because I think our performance against Man City was excellent. I think probably the fair outcome of this game would be perhaps a draw. And if you play and show such a performance, especially in the beginning and in the end of the game, of course, during the game there are also periods when Man City, with all their quality and possession, they can play you to death with all their combinations, and you have to suffer also a little bit. But I think we didn't allow many chances, not at all. We just conceded in the second minute of added time with 5 seconds to go. Very unnecessary and very unlucky as well. I think we have created more chances, especially in the first half. Yeah, second half was a credit to them. We were throwing everything at them, but they were also defending really, really well. I think it was a top performance from our players against the top side, and we can take even more confidence out of this. But it's a new day. It's a new opponent, and we're also very respectful. We know how difficult it is to beat a side like Sunderland. I expect also a tight game, but nevertheless, we have a home game, and of course we want to win the points.
Joe Rodon, now that you've had a day or so to have a look at him, how is he and what was the issue with him?
Yes, he had some problems with his hamstring. Was in the beginning not clear if it was just a cramp or a light injury. We have assessed him, also scanned him, and it seems like he's to be okay. So as it stands, I expect him to be available for tomorrow. So it looks okay. The only little question mark after the last game was James Justin, because there was a straight leg against him, and when a foul against him was given, and he needed to be stitched after the game because he was full of blood. But he's also a tough boy, so I have also hopes that he's available for tomorrow. So as it stands, I expect just Noah Okafor to be out for this game, and all the others will be available.
Thank you.
Good.
Daniel, it's only 2 months or so since you last met Sunderland. I know you were confident in what your team could do ahead of that game, but Sunderland have had a good season themselves. Do you feel coming into this clash, given that experience, you know more about your opponents now than you did back then?
No, because we've played them also on championship level. So we've played against Régis Lebris' side, and we know also like how he sets up his team, what his team is all about. We had tight games already on championship level. It was a tight first game. I think we had one of the best results so far. Once we went there, they've nearly beaten each every opponent in the home game, and we came away with the draw, and was in the end a good draw. I expect also a tight and difficult and complicated game in the home game. But yeah, on this level, Premier League level, each every game is difficult. Of course, a big plus for them that Granit Xhaka is of course back. They've missed him a little bit in recent weeks, but yeah, they're doing a fantastic job during the season. They're in a really good position right now, but that doesn't take anything away that we are highly motivated to show again a good performance and also to win as many points as possible.
You mentioned Granit Xhaka's name there, and rightfully has received praise for his performances since joining Sunderland. Is he somebody now that as an opposing manager you've got to prepare for specifically because he's that important to them?
Always, it's always like you prepare for key players of the opponent in general of the setup, and of course, Granit is with his experience and his quality a key player also for them. So it's important that we control him and control his running of the game, and that he can influence the game a lot. But they have more threats than just Granit, and with all respect. So it's important that we control also like the whole strength of this Sunderland game. They are very, very dangerous on the counterattacks. We have to make sure that in the moment, once we lose the ball, we have a good organization in order to control all the counters. So they have strength in terms of set pieces and also pace in the game. So we have to control all of this. And on the other hand, it's not easy to open them and to create chance against them, because it's a really, really compact side. And for that, we need to find good processes and possession in order to create chances. And this is all what we have to do in order to be successful.
And just finally, focusing on your own group of players, we're 10 games away from the end of the season. It's been a roller coaster ride. We've just been speaking about one of the emotions that you've endured this season. But when you look at this group, what's impressed you most over this journey so far?
Yes, obviously the mentality, also when there are setbacks during the game, or perhaps with a result, always to respond anyhow and to show that we never lose our mental strength and our belief and our confidence, and also the togetherness within the group. So it's very remarkable to show consistency. So because sometimes as a promoted side you have a game, anyhow, when you're also there with a poor performance and perhaps a horrendous result, anyhow, this is normally what happens. But we've shown over not just a few weeks, but also several months, more or less, always really consistent performances, and we're always, even against the top sides, although we lost, for example, against Man City, or a tight loss against Newcastle, even in this game we were pretty close also to win points. And this is remarkable, that the quality that we are more or less on a weekly or sometimes even a twice weekly base able to deliver results and to earn points. This is very remarkable, and all credit goes to my players.
Daniel, do you know what handball means anymore, and what a natural position is? Like, is it clear to you when you see an incident whether or not it's handball, and should supporters be expected to know?
It's of course a difficult topic, and I think football is important, that football is for all the people and should be as easy and clear as possible. And I think we need clarity in the rules, and I think especially also with the handball rule, perhaps we can improve the clarity right now. When we speak in general, theoretically, about these rules, I think it's quite clear for me, but of course, and sometimes in the heat of the game, and there is always a grey zone. It's sometimes difficult if you don't judge it always in the similar way. I think it's also difficult for the referees. I think overall they're doing a remarkable job to do it in a proper way. But I think if in general, so from the rules we can bring a bit more clarity in, it would be helpful for everyone involved, for the referees, for the players, for the supporters, because football, it's important that football stays also a game where it's clear and it's easy and not too complicated, and you need a big rule book in order to understand it. I think that we keep it as simple as possible. This is important for football, yes.
I know that you won't comment on a national team manager's selection process, but what can you say about Anton Stach as a ball winner and his prowess in the air in the Premier League? Yes, Anton is highly praised as one of the best signings during the whole Premier League, and rightly so, because he's delivering on Premier League level, on the top level. He's there for us, shows versatility, plays in more or less each and every midfield role, in deeper role, in a higher role, in a more advanced role, in a deeper sitting role, and delivers in each and every position with big consistency. It's important for us also with the strength in the air. He wins for us many balls, is really strong in the duels. I also like his ability to run the game. Of course, he's good when he has the game in front of him, but also like under pressure when he's with the back to the opponent's goal, he hardly loses the ball, he influences the game. He delivers goals, he delivers assists. He is quite often also the creative spark for us. Also what he does against the ball, unbelievable consistency. I think he covered ground, is always on the top level in each every game, also like high speed distance. So for me, a very complete player, and we are all happy that we have him, and for me a fantastic player on this level.
Hi, Daniel. Excuse me. In general, we know, obviously referees have got to stick to the rule, but when we look at Saturday and when we look at the Donnarumma incident in the reverse fixture in November, do you think PGMOL should give referees more scope and opportunity to use their common sense a bit more, especially in high-intensity situation?
I think they have this license anyhow to do this. I think it was not the case anyhow that if we speak about the edit time, more or less, like if the referee has got the feeling, okay, there is something like time wasting or whatever, then he has the license also to play longer. So I think it's just important in the heat of the game also to use it, and also to be brave to use it. And I think we have to do it. So I think the more, in general, the more power we give to the referee on field, the better it is. I think, because we need to strengthen this position. It's also so difficult for them because there's pressure from the crowd. There's pressure more or less from the expectation from both teams, especially when you are in charge of games where perhaps a high-profile team is involved, and for that it's important that we strengthen the position of the referee, especially the on-field referee, as much as possible. And we all have to do this and also play our part in order to do this. Yes.
And just as a general point in terms of the Premier League, how good would it be for the health of the competition in the Premier League for not just one promoted team to stay up, but for two after what's happened to the last 6 promoted clubs?
I think in general it's good for a league when it's a bit more fluidity and not always the same teams anyhow, or at least whatever, the same 17 teams and just 3 teams are rotating around. I think it would be good for the competition. And in general, so when a team with a big tradition, with a unbelievable huge fan base, like for example also Leeds United, us anyhow, are capable to play in this league. And also they have these memories anyhow, and I think they bring a special something also to the Premier League. And this is why I mentioned also several times, would be good if we can really survive and establish us on Premier League level, and we don't stay there just for 1 year and we want to stay for good. I think we have a lot to offer, even to the best league in the world, and with our background, with our tradition, with our fan base, with the size of our club, I think we belong also to this league. And if we manage to stay there, I think would be great. And in general also for the Premier League, definitely a positive sign. Yes.
Hiya. I noticed Aston Villa, the defensive line, was noticeably higher, I felt, than in recent weeks. And then again on Saturday, in the first half especially, you were going man for man as City were trying to play out from the back. And on several occasions, you very nearly, and did turn it over in their third. Is that something you try to bring in over recent weeks to make the team more aggressive and take more risks in that sense, rather than maybe sitting back and allowing the opposition to come at you?
It depends always on the opponent you play. So of course, sometimes you like to have an overload more or less in the last row in order to, of course, to press, but also to have a relatively high amount of safety in order not to be beaten. But if you have a team who is so good in the build-up, more or less, or like with their processes, either because they have an unbelievably strong goalkeeper as an overload player, or they have so many technical gifted players in the build-up, or so many good processes, and then you have to go sometimes also like brave man for man, and it always depends on the strength of the opponent. It's something what we have in our toolbox, and have also shown even a bit earlier, but due to the fixture list, and perhaps it was more often also in recent weeks, I would agree that we had to do this, and it's definitely something what we need to use, perhaps not in each every game, but in several of the games as well. Yes.
And what does it say about James Justin's development that he's now keeping out 6'4" Jakob Ejol in Xhaka's more natural central position? I mean, it's quite remarkable that the journey that James has been on this year to where he is now. In your thoughts?
I think what he's delivering at the moment in terms of quality, but also consistency, is outstanding. Yeah, because of being a fullback by nature. I know he has also played several times in 3-man formation in his career before. But of course he brings also his skills on the ball, his skills in offensive going forward, also like makes us also be a bit less predictable because we play sometimes with him as a fullback, sometimes he stays more like as a wide centre back. We can play different processes and he makes us less predictable also in our processes in possession, but also his capability to help in the defense, also like to be strong in the duels, his mobility to defend in the box. I think this is outstanding, and I've rarely really played with a player of his football intelligence and how smart he is, how he reads the game. It seems like at the moment he's always there with the right decision, when to step out, when to sit back, what to do with the ball. I think if you go really into the details also of his game, I think what he's doing, it's always a 9 out of 10. I think he's unbelievable at the moment and is delivering on the highest level. Perhaps you wouldn't have predicted when once we signed him because he was playing on championship level, and even there sometimes even seasons before, he was sometimes on the bench on championship level. But I always react on what someone is delivering in the here and now. And in the here and now, I have to say, so I rarely see a player who has more or less this shape at the moment, and it's unbelievable what he brings. And it's a joy to work with him because he's such an unbelievable teammate and such a smart player. He's one of the players where I rarely have to say something, and I'm pretty sure after his career he will be a top coach, and because he understands the game and reads the game so well. It's a joy to work with him.
Daniel, you and many of your players are very used to playing Saturday, Tuesday, but not many teams make you run as much as Manchester City do. Given how much everyone had to put into Saturday's game, is this a game where you might have to consider freshening things up a bit more than normal?
I consider this anyway, always, once we have such a quick turnaround. But I'll be also honest, in this turnaround, I'm not too concerned about the load from the weekend and the ability to recover, because I'm always a bit more careful when we have an evening kickoff, for example, and then a travel and you arrive home in the middle of the night and you don't have a proper night. This time around, first, it's also for Sunderland more or less the same. They have additionally even the travel. For us, it's also we have 3 proper nights between the games, so could sleep 3 times proper. Don't have travel, so they can sleep more or less also like in their own beds. And we have more than 72 hours between the games. And if on this level you're not capable to recover after 72 hours, then you shouldn't play professional football. So for that, I'm not too concerned about this turnaround, but it can always be out of performance reasons, out of tactical reasons, or when you got the feeling someone out of a whatever illness or little injuries not fully recovered, then to mix it up and to change. But I wouldn't say that there is one player who is not ready to go again just because he's still tired anyhow. Because if you live like a professional football player, also with good habits in nutrition and good sleep, then you should be ready after 72 hours to play the next game. Yes.
And if you do end up watching the game from the stands, I mean, the last time against Sheffield United, it obviously worked very well in terms of you won the game, but it was a new experience for you, as you've said. Was there anything you learned from that experience that will help you if you find yourself in that situation either tomorrow or in the future?
No, because I don't want to get used to it, if I'm honest. Because otherwise I could also retire and then go and watch each and every game from the stand. What I learned is nothing that I had to learn more or less, but I saw that. Sometimes even without me, we are capable to win some football games. So sometimes it humbles you also a little bit that you're not that important. Believe me, I was also around before the game at halftime and did the talk, and was allowed. Everything's okay. And let's be honest, on the sideline, in a full packed stadium, your impact as a manager is not that big anyhow. And yes, of course, it's more or less like you do the substitutions and give a few words more or less but also during the game. I think more important is what you do at halftime. More important is how you prepare before game, the team talk that you do before, also like to prepare the team for different scenarios. Because during the game, I can't say anyway to Joe Roden, you have to play this pass from A to B anyhow. You have to prepare before the game. And when I try to shout over to the other side to JJ something anyhow, he doesn't even hear me in a full packed stadium for that. I think sometimes the impact of a manager is also a bit overinterpreted. Yeah, but if you always win, anyhow, when I'm not at the sideline, perhaps I should get used to it anyhow, and I should stay away on purpose. But I don't expect and I don't hope that I will be on the stand on tomorrow evening.
Hi, Daniel. You mentioned that you don't think the red card can stand, and I can see that. But just to clarify, is the club going to launch an official appeal against the red card?
I really can't tell you anything about the process because really I have no clue about red cards. I have never shown something. I think I was told that at some point, more or less like the Premier League or the referees will get in touch more or less when they have the full report of the incidents. It should be there pretty soon, and then probably I have then the chance also to say something to it. But I think the first thing is more or less that they have the full report. What the red card was shown. I was not sent the full report so far anyhow, and I'm not sure how the processes are. So for that, I can't really tell you about this, and also how the processes are. If you can appeal it or what you have to do to appeal it or whatever. I just can give you my gut feeling that this should not be a red card. And when there's a clear and obvious mistake, for me this was a clear and obvious mistake. It should be overturned. And this is more or less like what I've experienced also when there's an obvious mistake with the red card, it can be overturned, and should be overturned, and I expect more or less the same, but I can't tell you how it works, and also nothing about the process. Sorry.
Thank you.